I had to do was make some hydrogen cyanide. To do this, I started by measuring out just 3 milligrams of the sodium cyanide, which was basically a single crystal. I then added about 25 mils of water, and I stirred it until it completely dissolved. What I had now was a solution of sodium cyanide, but it was insanely dilute. It would probably take 100 times more cyanide to kill me, and even if I took this whole thing as a shot, I'd still be fine. I then put the beaker into a small chamber, along with a cyanide meter that I'd rented. Initially, it didn't look like much was happening, but after a few minutes, the meter started detecting cyanide. This was happening because when sodium cyanide is exposed to water or moisture, it slowly hydrolyzes and turns into hydrogen cyanide. As a gas, this then escaped the beaker, and it started filling the chamber. The goal now was to get it concentrated enough that I could for sure smell it, but not enough that it would be dangerous. To find out what this would be, I did a little research online, and I was able to find this table. It was honestly a bit scary to see the words immediate death, but it was also only at very high concentrations. When it got down to between 20 and 40 parts per million, or ppm for short, it said that it only caused slight symptoms after a few hours. For me to smell it, though, it would probably take at most a few seconds, so I figured this would be totally fine. I also found this on the CDC website that said up to around 50 ppm can be tolerated for 30 to 60 minutes. Based on this, and a lot of other info that I was able to find, it seemed totally fine to go with something like 40 ppm, but I wanted to be as safe as possible. So, I decided to start at around 15 ppm, and I figured if I couldn't smell it, I could always just increase it. After a few minutes, it was only around 3.5 ppm, and it was going to take a while to get to 15. So, I decided to give it a little boost by shooting in some extremely dilute sulfuric acid. This would immediately react with the sodium cyanide and convert it to the hydrogen cyanide. I then closed the chamber, and very quickly, the concentration started increasing. In this case, adding this acid was okay because I was working with barely any cyanide. However, it can be extremely dangerous. If it were added to a concentrated solution, or pure cyanide, it would start pouring off a crazy amount of hydrogen cyanide. This can be very hard to control, and